Hey, and welcome to Dirty Lazy Girl, a podcast that offers realistic girlfriend support and problem solving for imperfect people.
You don't have to be perfect to be successful. Every week, we'll give you unconventional, dirty, or lazy problem-solving strategies. Let's get started.
We're going to look at health and happiness, but from an unconventional source, which for me is pets. I love my pets, and I think they bring us great happiness and health. And there's a lot of studies that show that that's true. I mean, people who have pets have lower depression, they exercise more, and all kinds of other benefits.
Well, that's the truth, Tamara. And you know what's interesting too, to build on that, is I've always really struggled with emotional eating, which is no secret to any of our listeners. But here's the thing, Tamara, when I'm sad, when I'm lonely, when I'm bored, even when I'm happy, I really do tend to reach to food first to fill that need. And so during my weight loss journey, that was something I really needed to work on. And I've tried to figure out different ways I can meet those emotional needs without turning to food. And one of them, thanks to you, Tamara, is having a pet. That was something you encouraged me to do because my dog, who we talk about all the time on our podcast, she gives me so much love and companionship, and she helps me when I'm feeling lonely or sad, or even when I'm just feeling excited. And it's been a tool for me to have her in my life where I'm not reaching to food all the time. So a lot of health and happiness, thanks to what you're talking about.
It really does. And you don't even have to own a pet to benefit from pets. And we'll tell you how, because in this episode, we're going to discuss 6 ways to maximize the power of pets in our lives to make us healthier and happier. But first, a quick break, Stephanie.
Well, today's episode, Tamara, it is sponsored by the Dirty Lazy Keto Dirt Cheap Cookbook. It's 100 easy recipes to help you save money and time. I believe weight loss does not need to be complicated, boring, or expensive. So every ingredient in the new cookbook is from what I like to call normal people stores. So nothing fancy is required. And you can order the Dirty Lazy Keto Dirt Cheap Cookbook wherever you like to shop for books, or on my website, dirtylazyketo.com/books. And I even saw it yesterday at Target.
Wow,
I know,
that's
it's so exciting.
That must feel so awesome to see your own book on the shelf.
It's right there.
You go dust it off and make it pretty.
Go visit it every day.
Oh, that's so cute. Okay, Stephanie, so let's get started on our 6 tips for maximizing the power of pets.
I love it.
And the first one we are calling rent a pet.
Rent a pet.
How do you rent a pet?
Like rent to own, but rent a pet.
Yes.
How do you rent a pet, Tamara?
Well, there are actually more ways than you might think. You can just offer to dog sit or pet sit, right? Trust me, once your family finds out and your friends,
they'll call you.
Busy. Yeah.
You'll be very busy with that one.
Yeah. And you might even make some money as a benefit, although that's not, probably not a lot. You can be a dog walker as a job or just do it for fun. There's one way to do it that I think is really cool, and it's to foster a pet. And what I love about this is that you do have to go through a little training. So if you call your local animal shelter, you do a little training. But then what I like about it is it's flexible. So if they call you and say, hey, we have 3 kittens that we need you to keep for a month, you can say, oh, I can't right now, but call me next time. And that way it's very flexible. If you're available, you can take it, or if not, then you don't. So that one's a cool option. And then the last one is to volunteer at the local animal shelter. And then that's also like, I signed up, my daughter and I, and what I loved about it is they don't make you come in at a set time or a set number of days. So we just show up when we feel like it. It's the best way to volunteer, in my opinion. It's awesome.
That sounds really convenient too. Plus you're just doing something great.
You are.
Well, Tamara, we do something kind of similar in my family where we take our yearly vacation. We always miss our dog because we're on vacation for an extended period of time. And so we visit their local humane society, and they have a program for tourists to take the dogs on field trips. And it's a whole program where you get there at a certain time of day and you fill out the paperwork and you pick out the dog that you want, and they put a cute vest on the dog, and they give you a field trip cooler with like leashes and poop bags and a map of trails and beaches that are acceptable to take the dog. And they know that you're just taking it out for a few hours. So it's a whole program. It's free. And a lot of people do take the dogs home. Let's be real. They'll like book us on the plane. I know, right? But we do it every year, and we have helped a lot of our dogs find homes, because when you're out and about with the cute little dog with the vest on, locals see the dog and they, greet the dog, and they find out it's so cute and gentle, and then they end up getting adopted. So it's a really fun program.
That's an awesome thing. I've heard of similar ones, jogging programs for joggers. You can go rent a jogging dog, to jog with you in some places. And if your town or city doesn't have that, you can actually start one. But you're right about the adoption thing, because even when my daughter and I would take a dog out of the cage and just walk it around in front of the people at the animal shelter, they would always get adopted. Totally. It's like when they're in a cage, for whatever reason, people don't adopt them, but you take them out and
you can see their personality.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So it's such an awesome.
Well, your story, it leads us to our next tip for our listeners, which is the second one, which is how to maximize pet exercise power. Because like you were saying, with the joggers, if you have an animal on hand, it's a lot more motivating to get out and exercise, right?
Yeah. Oh, in fact, sometimes it's the only reason I get out, because my dog is hilarious. She keeps me accountable. Like if I don't go on the walk, she will literally block my way. She will stand in front of me and be like, "Biatch, we're going for a walk."
It's time, woman. Do you not see what time it is? It's time.
No, and I feel guilty for her when I don't, give her a walk. So yeah, they totally hold you accountable. And sometimes they'll make you go further than you would have ordinarily go, because they love walking.
I love to get out of the house. Mm-hmm. Well, when we first got our dog Lulu, just to help my whole family get on board with walking, so it wasn't just me dealing with our dog and her needs, we created a Strava account, which is an online free exercise type account that you can create, and we logged all of her runs and walks. And so every time we got back from doing a run or a walk, the family member got to type it into Strava and add her miles. And we made a goal where every 100 miles she would take a funny picture with a hat, and we'd post it on social media. And then we'd I know I'll get emails about this, but we used to take her to McDonald's to get a hamburger. I know it's wrong, whatever. It was fun. But we did this for quite a long time, and Lulu got all the way to 1,000 miles with her running. So it was pretty cool. And I got the whole family involved, which I really liked.
Yeah, and it was so cute. We would just see it on Facebook, and it was the cute.
Like, go Lulu! And she's like, yeah, what's up? I'll even share some pictures.
You'd have like a party hat on her with the big, whatever number of miles she went, which is just totally cute and motivating, right? Like it made you want to get out there and keep up her miles. Right.
And everybody was into it. It was really fun. She got to like 1,000 before she was like, okay, I'm over it. That's too much. Maybe 1,200, and she's like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
That'll be all.
Yeah. And everybody on social media could enjoy it too, which leads us to our third tip, which is to get social.
Get social. What does that mean?
Well, pets have a way of facilitating social interaction. Like if you go out with a dog or you're holding a kitten, total strangers will walk up to you and ask to pet your dog, or just start talking to you because you come across as a friendlier, more approachable person. Like I even saw on a dating website where they're saying to use dogs to get dates.
It's like a chick magnet. Because we're all just so much more interested in walking up to someone, like you said, that has a cute dog and making a conversation.
Yes. Yeah. So you should maximize the potential of your dog to get you a little social interaction in your day, get you out there. You can go to dog parks. Like I used to take mine to a dog park, my previous dog, and we would end up chatting with the other dog owners because we all had that in common, and it was just really a nice break in the day. Or you can take your dog to social events that allow them, dog walks or I think you took Lulu on some dog runs, right?
We do like a superhero dog run in our community that benefited like an animal shelter, and all the dogs had to dress up in costumes.
Yeah, that's so cute.
I'm horrible. I'm all making my dog run with a like Superman vest on.
Yeah.
I think she won, by the way.
Oh, nice. Well, I have to credit our dogs for this podcast, actually, because if it weren't for the fact that we went walking our dogs together,
That's true.
that's where we came up with the idea of the podcast. And
I'm like, Tamara, you're so funny. We should have a podcast. And she's
That
like,
was-
yeah.
that was on our dog walks. And I was worried because my dog is not good with other dogs. And you were saying, well, we should walk together. I'm like, I was so worried. I was like, I don't want her to bite Lulu or, be, terrible. And what was great is she doesn't get along with most dogs, but she saw Lulu, right? Didn't she?
Lulu's very friendly.
Yeah, she went right to her. They're best buddies from minute one.
Just like us.
Yes. And that allowed our friendship to grow because we had this pet walking in common.
You never know.
You never know.
Here's the thing, Tamara. I think dogs and being social extends way beyond just being in person. I think it can also go on social media, like you mentioned. For example, my kids are constantly following like hound dogs online, and it's a way that they can connect on Instagram with other people that also have the same interests. And personally, I follow, her name is Lulu, but spelled differently. It's Lilou. Lulu the pig, and she works at the San Francisco airport as a pet therapy pig.
Aww.
So Lulu is a real animal that walks around the San Francisco airport. I've seen her there. I've met her. She's fabulous. And she helps nervous flyers. And so I'm not joking. You got to check her out.
No, I love that.
Can I tell you her Insta handle?
Yes.
Because we're friends on Facebook.
Okay.
or Instagram. So if you want to check out her Insta handle, this is Lulu the pig at the San Francisco airport. It's at LILOU_SF pig. And I'll even share a video in the show notes.
You should.
Isn't that cute?
And yes. And there are a lot of cool pets you can follow on Instagram.
Seriously,
I follow a possum.
Do you? You follow a possum? I think my son follows a dog that dresses up in costumes and floats around a pool.
Yeah.
Why not?
And it just brings a little moment of joy to your life.
Joy to your life.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Okay. Our fourth tip is about living in the moment, because one of the other great benefits of pets is that they live in the moment. They're not worried about the future or the past. They're like
not stressed. They're not worried. They're not planning.
No, so they have a way of bringing you into the moment. So the tip here is to take their cue and live in the moment with them. And if that means just taking a minute to throw the ball and let them chase it, or whatever it is that they're wanting you to do in that moment, just take a minute to do it. And it's amazing how much better you feel.
That's true. Because it's easy to get caught up in things. Like I know in our current situation, everyone's at home a little bit more. And I found myself really, kind of nervous and anxious and also maybe bored. So I found myself wanting to eat more. Which is not a good plan for me. It's like a runaway train. Yeah. So one of the things I did is I wanted to practice the ukulele a little bit more since I was home, and I knew that would make me feel happier inside. It would keep me busy, keep my fingers busy. But here's the thing, Tamara, everyone in my house is not on board. They're like, stop, lady, you're killing us with the ukulele. So I got myself a little set of parakeets. Okay. And I adopted them at the beginning in March, and they love my ukulele playing. Aww. They make me feel I'm right in the moment. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. They are ready to play ukulele. They're ready to sing and dance. I named one of my birds Rona.
Oh, Rona.
Rona likes to dance. She goes like this.
Aww.
And the other one goes, ah, 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 ah. And they scream and they dance, and it just makes me, like you said, get right in the moment. And I'm not thinking about the world. I'm focused on just being happy and joyful.
Yeah.
And they have a favorite song too.
Oh, what's their favorite?
They like Three Little Birds by Bob Marley.
Oh, that's so appropriate. Nice. Birds, birds they will sing, and that their songs are so soothing and wonderful. Finches also have beautiful, beautiful.
Is that a finch behind you?
Okay, these are my little watercolor paintings that I painted. For those of you who can't see, I've got 2 bird paintings and then a cat on the other side. I've been into painting animals.
Well, because you love them so much.
I
They give you so much
do.
joy.
Yeah. And in fact, my dog brings me in the moment too. Although it makes my neighbors think I'm a total nut job because
Well, you
we
might be.
go in the back. And this is every morning we have this after our walk, we go in the backyard and I say, I'm going to get you. I start chasing her. She loves to be chased. And then that of course triggers the zoomies. You know what I mean by the zoomies? Like,
I do not.
yeah, when the dogs just go crazy running in a giant circle like mad people. So every morning we do
call
that.
that the giddy ups.
Yeah.
Giddy ups.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Where
so
they go crazy and just over like playful like a puppy.
It just makes me laugh. And I start the morning that way. I just laugh and we have this like pure joy moment in the backyard of just crazy joy.
That's what we're talking about today. I mean, the health
great.
benefits of having a pet, like you said, whether it's your own pet or you're renting a pet or visiting a pet, they are just bountiful. I mean, it's just never ending.
No. And like you said, it can be birds. It can even be fish or, I mean,
it could be a possum. Per Tamara's Insta follow.
Trust me, I've seen it with my own eyes. Or a hamster or a rat. I have a friend who has rats and she claims they're super affectionate, which is our next one. Number 5 is maximize affection.
Mm-hmm.
Even pets that you don't think you can be affectionate with, like birds or a rat.
Or fish too, right? Like I've heard about fish staring at a fish tank can lower your blood pressure.
Is
that true? Mm-hmm.
Yes, and in fact, that's supposedly why doctors have them in their waiting rooms, because it lowers people's blood pressure. Yes, did you not know that?
I think I learned that while I was preparing for the podcast today. I
Yeah.
mean, it's true though. I mean, because I'm not an affectionate person. I'm pretty closed off. I'm from the Midwest, and we don't hug or kiss or any of that nonsense. We're just stoic and eat our feelings. I mean, really, that's kind of what we do from the Midwest. And at least that's how I was brought up. So for me, I'm not like a huggy person. I don't express myself in that way. So having a pet makes me feel a lot more comfortable getting that kind of affection that I need. Without having to talk about my feelings and all that stuff that makes me feel nervous.
Yeah, they're great. And affection can be like petting or brushing or whatever. But for like a fish or some other bird or something, just talking to them is a kind of form of affection. I know this is going to sound a little nutty. Again, I'm sounding crazy today.
Girl, you already told us you follow a possum on Instagram.
I know. But I'm like,
let the nuttiness flow.
Okay, we used to have
just did my birds dance.
We used to have a fish, and I swear that fish, it learned that when we put our hand in over it, it was going to drop food in. So then we could get it to do like little fish tricks. Yes, we would put our hand up and it would go to your hand and we'd go.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so even a fish you can interact with. People think you can't, and maybe
apparently you can. My mom had a parakeet.
Talks to me.
Hey, she talks to you in that voice. No. My mom had a parakeet when she was little, and she taught it to push a baby buggy across the kitchen table. So I mean, it's amazing what you can do with your pets.
Yeah. Okay, our last one. What is our last one, Stephanie?
Well, like you said, there's so many benefits to having a pet. And one of them is to let your pet be a teacher. And you can, a pet can teach your kids or yourself about empathy, about responsibility. And I know that that's the thing that they talk about on TV, like, oh, get a dog or a cat. And then all of a sudden your kids will be these uber responsible people. But for me, it gives you, even something to live for. My grandmother, and, we've talked about this because my grandmother's passed now, but we gave her a dog one year because she was, living alone and struggling. And the dog gave her just purpose. Yeah. It was like her best friend in the world. She would, walk the dog and talk about the dog all the time. And she would cook it homemade meals. And it was a big deal.
Pets are like people's babies. They can become, and it's hard when they die. That's the sad part, but that also is a teacher. Like, when our first dog died, it was so hard. We all took it really hard, but it was a way that I could teach my kids about grief and to express their feelings. And so we had a little funeral for the dog, and we, and she hadn't had yet a a major death of a person in her life. So I feel
Mm.
like dealing with the dog was a great teacher for her about that, death is normal, death is hard, but you can talk about it, because it was easier for her to talk about it,
Yeah.
with the dog. And then later when her great grandmother passed, and that I felt like it made it a lot easier having already had to deal with that with the pet. So in that sense, it teaches about grief.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things it can teach us.
Yeah.
We took our dog and we volunteered at a nursing home. We're talking about older people, and that was something we did for quite a long time before our current situation, where visiting nursing homes isn't really something that's healthy right now for the people that live there. But before, we used to take our dog there. She had to get certified as like a therapy dog and go through screening and health inspection. But we would walk around the nursing home and go room to room. And some of these folks didn't have anyone visiting them. So having a dog come to visit them, we could either come up to their bed or their wheelchair, and we could place their hand on Lulu, and she would be very responsive. There were other volunteers that brought lap dogs that you could set in the lap of an older person. But for me, it taught our kids about kindness and about being gentle and about giving. And it was, I think pets are powerful. I think they just have so much more to teach us than we realize.
Yeah, because it probably would have been hard for your kids to just go up to an elderly person and start talking to them. But when you have a dog, it's like the dog does all the work for you. Like they just go right to the dog and they have something to talk about. So pets are just, they're just great.
It's a big deal.
I know. I'm curious how our listeners get the maximum benefits of their pets. Tell us by emailing Stephanie@dirtylazyketo.com or via Facebook or Instagram @dirtylazyketo. Before we wrap up this episode, let's stop and take one final break.
All right. Well, listeners, if you forgot already, I'll remind you, today's episode is brought to you by the Dirty Lazy Keto Dirt Cheap Cookbook. It's published by Simon & Schuster, and it's full of tips and tricks to help you save big money while cooking your way to weight loss. Cooking keto shouldn't be expensive, and it should not require anything fancy. So let me help you get started with a lot of fun and sass. Links to order at dirtylazyketo.com/books.
Thank you, Stephanie. All right, let's get started with our final hacks.
Well, Tamara, this one's a little bit sad. I know you shared about pets passing away. When my husband was a little guy, he's my co-author for the Dirty Lazy Keto Dirt Cheap Cookbook. So I know you guys have heard about him before, but he grew up in a military family. So he moved every year and a half, every 2 years, his entire childhood. He lived all around the world and all sorts of different places. And so it wasn't feasible for his family to have a family pet. They lived in Egypt and Africa and Alaska, Panama, all sorts of different places. And the weather wasn't always conducive or travel to take a pet with them. So they developed a tradition where they would adopt a family pet based on the family that was leaving. So as they'd move into a new community, the military had a tradition where you'd adopt someone else's pet that was on their way out, and then they'd pass that animal to the next family. I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
but it was like a passing family pet that they would just share. And so along the way, he had dogs, he had cats, he had a pig, he had a parrot. He had all these amazing, I think he even had a camel when he lived in Egypt. I mean, really. So he had this amazing experience with pets that even though it was a little bit sad that he would have to leave them after a short amount of time, it gave him a different experience than if they had not had a pet at all.
Yeah. And I would imagine in the military, it's hard to remake friends every time you get to a new place. And pets are like Insta-friend,
Insta-friend.
Yeah.
This is the funniest part of the story, Tamara. They would have the pet with the same name everywhere they went.
So they wouldn't forget.
I don't know. It was just.
Do you remember what it was?
They called the pet Willie. So wherever they went, there was Willie. Willie the pig, Willie the parrot, Willie the dog.
Willie the camel.
Willie the camel.
Nice.
It made it a little easier for the kids, maybe.
Nice.
I don't know. I thought that was fun.
And then you don't have to have the trouble of trying to think of a name.
That's Willie.
That's so cute. Okay, so for me, one thing we haven't talked about is safety. And for me, a huge benefit of having a dog, especially I have a medium to large size dog, is that she makes me feel really safe. And we know that home invasion, other kind of robberies, if you have a dog barking, usually they just move right on to the next one. So just knowing that is a huge peace of mind. And I know my husband travels for business a lot, and I'm home alone, and I feel 10 times safer with her, even more than like the alarm system and all that. Like cuz I know she would fiercely defend me if anyone, tried to break in. But this really hit home a couple years ago when I was jogging, and I was the victim of an attempted sexual assault while I was jogging. It was a horrible, scary thing. I don't talk about it too much publicly, but I am here because getting over that was, of course, really difficult. But honestly, my dog was a huge help in that, because I had PTSD, especially running, but then even just walking around the neighborhood, I was really, my heightened sense of fear was really bad for a while. And honestly, my friends were giving me like pepper spray and tasers. I even had a friend offer a gun. I was like, oh, good Lord, no. But none of those things made me feel safe as my dog did, really. She did. She helped me really get through that. So if safety is something, you're concerned about, honestly, look into getting a dog. Also, with the PTSD thing, I learned through this that a lot of people who have PTSD get a lot of comfort from dogs. I have a student who's a veteran who had pretty severe PTSD from the Iraq War, and he tells me his dog senses when he's having a flashback and will come and comfort him through it. So you can always get a therapy dog too if PTSD is an issue.
Well, you're very brave to share all that. And I hope I know that will be very helpful to our listeners. So listeners, the big takeaway today talking about pets is about the health benefits. Don't let the extra work scare you off. Don't let the extra work of having a pet prevent you from all of the unconditional love, companionship, safety, social interaction, all of those benefits that a pet has to offer.
And listeners, are you enjoying the Dirty Lazy Girl podcast? Show your support by leaving a review. Here is how. On your iPhone, select the purple podcast icon, and using the search tool, type in Dirty Lazy Girl. Click on the thumbnail to open it. Scroll down until you see ratings and reviews and click on the stars. We hope you select 5 stars. And then if you want to leave a written review, you can scroll down to leave a review and type it in and hit OK. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe, like, and leave a comment for us.
And I have a listener review I can even share today.
Oh, goody.
I love them. This one's called Nailed It. Nailed
Great title.
It. You like that? That's from Dother via Apple Podcasts.
Oh, nice.
And Dother says, these ladies really nail it when it comes to relating to others with weight challenges. Thanks, ladies.
Oh, thank you.
5 stars.
Nice.
See you next week.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Dirty Lazy Girl podcast. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Turn on your notifications so you'll never miss a video, and we'll see you next week.